Hi everyone. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you all for attending today's webinar, Becoming a PM in Today's Fast-Paced World. My name is Sheila Caceres and I am the moderator for today's event. A couple of housekeeping items before we begin. I want you all to be aware during this webinar everyone will be muted to help eliminate any background noise. We do encourage questions if you have any. Simply just raise your hand and we will unmute your microphone so you can talk. There is also a Q&A section where you can type any questions you may have. I now would like to introduce the presenter Aubrey Kegler, who is a regional trainer out of New Horizons, Pittsburgh. Aubrey, handing it over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending this session. Again, as Ms. Sheila said, my name is Aubrey Kegler. I am a regional instructor for New Horizons. My corporate office is in Pittsburgh, and I am based in Florida. And yes, it is quite a commute, but luckily I don't have to go there that often. As to my background, I have a master's degree in technical management, which was mostly project management. I have 25 years in IT, 18 years as a project manager, and 10 years as a technical training consultant. And I am certified both as a PMP, project management professional, and in ITIL. And before we get started, I would like to say that I encourage questions. And my philosophy is the best time to answer a question is when you have that question. So please, if something does come up and I have either not explained it well enough, or you didn't understand, or if you have a question or a comment, please bring it out right then and there. Because my feelings are that if you have that question, there's probably other people in the class that have that very same question. And that is all part of the learning environment. So let's go ahead and get started. I've been in IT and in business for quite a long time. And when I started, this is what the computer world looked like. Wasn't near as good as it is today. We were able to do work. The personal computer came out a few years later and changed the whole world for us. Everything started getting smaller, quicker, and better. And today, we have jumped into this, where instead of having a mainframe that's locked away behind glass walls and a refrigerated freezer zone and only special people can go into, we all carry computers around with us every day. Every person that has a smartphone, a tablet, a laptop, a desktop, they are carrying all kinds of computers. The world has changed very quickly, and it continues to change. In fact, I told you that I had spent 25 years in IT. I started out as a technician. I was a network engineer, network manager, worked up to network engineer, and enjoyed that work. Things started changing so quickly that I realized that it took me a full-time job just to stay current. And that's when I moved into management and then into IT, or into project management, where I really found what I loved. One of the issues that we run into quite a bit is that in this fast-paced world, everything changes quickly, everything must be done more quickly, and as such, projects are starting to suffer. Now, I came across some very interesting information, and this is based out of the CIA workbook, their collection of all information. And across the world, and this was several years ago, this is the projections of how much IT project failures were going to cost. And if you look at the United States, you will see that that number, that is in millions of dollars. So the amount of cost that we are losing with failed projects is almost $1.3 trillion. We lead the world in project failures. And primarily is because we do a lot more projects. We are really moving into doing technology in a big way. Other companies or other countries out there you can see are also having a lot of project failures. And by and large, the issue is that projects are not being managed well. They're not being planned well. They're not being able to get the work done quickly enough and in an organized manner. So if we looked at, instead of the world, let's look at the United States. Every state is doing IT projects. Every state is losing money. California, 164 million. Texas, 108, almost 109 million. My home state, Florida, is almost 67 million, $66 million. We are losing, the prediction of us losing money at a tremendous rate is right there in front of us. One other bit of information I came across that I found was quite interesting, a study done by the Project Management Institute, PMI. Every year they do what they call a pulse of the profession. They go out and they interview project managers and companies to see how project management is doing. And this statement was one that picked up and I thought was very interesting. Those who use standardized practices throughout their organizations report an average of 74% of projects meeting their goal and intent, compared with 58% of those who do not use standard practices. If you are not using a standardized practice and the people that you have are not trained in those standardized practices, and in this case, the standardized practice across the United States is the PMBOK guide that is put out by PMI. It is the best practice for project managers around the world. You don't have a very good chance of being successful. Why is certification important? PMI certification, project management, being a project management professional or a certified associate of project management professional. Here's a statement out of CIO magazine, and this is an article called Why Project Management Certification Matters, and this is a statement from IBM. It says the marketplace in the United States is demanding the PMP or other project management certifications. Going back 5 or 6 years, IBM has seen requests for proposals where the clients are demanding certified project professionals to be a part of the proposal. If you can't present a certified project manager on the deal, they won't consider you. Another little aspect that goes along with that is that I saw a study not too long ago where 95% of all project management-related want ads indicate two things. Either a project PMP certification is highly desired or PMP is required. Companies are starting to see project management certification, PMP certification, as an advantage against their competition, a competitive advantage. By having people who are certified, that are held to a higher standard, that are experienced, that are trained in best practices, they are seeing that they're able to finish projects on time, on budget, and have happy customers. Now, I'm not selling PMI. I'm not selling anything here today. I'm here to talk to you about how New Horizons can help you with that. Well, a little about us, New Horizons. We do IT training, both technical and non-technical, and we have been seeing that our training provides a 4-to-1 cost-benefit ratio, which is a very good ratio. We have a very high quality and customer satisfaction, and our customers spread around the world. In fact, more than 98% of our customers would recommend New Horizons to others. In my classes, I've had people all across the United States and all around the world. Last week I had a guy in Dublin, Ireland that was taking our classes, and he enjoyed it and gave it high marks. The types of learning environments that we have include instructor-led training, where it's the traditional training where a student can come to one of our classrooms and can participate in a class with the instructor. And that's an ITL, instructor-led training. We also are pioneering the Online Live, OLL, which is, again, an instructor-led training via a virtual classroom environment where many of our classes are guaranteed to run, no matter how many students have signed up. And, of course, we have on-site training where we go send an instructor to your site and tailor the training to meet your needs. Just last week, I was up in Columbus doing an on-site training for a group up there. And it's a very wonderful environment to be able to go up and meet with people. On our online live training, the instructor-led training, one of the advantages of that kind of class, not only is it very cost-effective because there are no travel costs generally. Students can work from their office or from their home, or they can go to one of our local centers and log on to the class and be a participant. We also record these classes, and students have availability to these recordings for 6 months. So even after the class, after they receive their initial instruction, they can go back on and participate in the class all over again by watching these recordings. It's a great value add that we have put in there so we can help students continue with their learning. Some of the classes that I teach, project management classes and certification classes. We have a one-day project management fundamentals class. In project management fundamentals, these are classes that are designed for people that have no project management background, have no project management experience, or very, very little. Somebody that has seen that projects are being done and want to become a part of it, maybe even have participated in some projects in some minor ways and would like to learn more. Also teach an introduction to Agile project management. Agile is a type of lean project management that has been specially tailored for producing software in a very quick and efficient manner. It is a very interesting class. Agile is a very well-known technique around the world these days and is growing in its popularity for software development. It works quite well. Another class I teach, Project Management Essentials, a 3-day class which is geared for people that have some knowledge of project management but want to learn more and be able to get into it a little deeper. Our first certification class that we teach is CompTIA's Project Plus certification. It's a 5-day class. It is certified, and it does teach people a lot about project management and how to manage projects. We have 2 PMI certified classes, Project Management Institute. The first one is the Certified Associate of Project Management, CAPM, C-A-P-M. It's a 3-day class. It is geared around people who don't have a lot of experience but have decided they want to pursue project management as a career. This is an entry-level certification where students must learn the tools and techniques, terminology. And then the last class is the Project Management Professional, PMP. It is a 5-day certification class based on preparing students to pass the test, the evaluation. The purpose of this class is to prepare students for learning how to study and how to prepare for this program. All right. Looking into some of the requirements for these different classes, CompTIA Project Plus has no pre-requirements, and candidates are not required to submit an application. The number of questions on the test is 100. The length of the test is 90 minutes, and a passing score out of a score of a total of 900 is 710 questions. Recommended experience, they do recommend that you have at least 1 year of managing and directing or participating in small to medium-sized projects, but they don't require it. CompTIA is a good class for someone who is working in projects, doesn't necessarily want to be a project manager, but would like to have some type of a certification that would assist them in career development. You do get a good understanding, a good background about what projects are, how they work. It is not geared toward learning any specific best practices. It's just general project management understanding and terminology and techniques. The Project Management Institute certification for CAPM is a little more intense. It is a little more, has more requirements. To be eligible, you must have at least a high school diploma or a global equivalent, and you must have either 1,500 hours of professional project team work, 1,500 hours of actually working on a project team, or 23 contact hours of formal education, of which the class we teach, the CAPM 3-day CAPM class, does provide those 3 hours of contact for formal education. Again, this class is based off of someone that has little to no experience in project management. We do suggest that before you take this class, you either take the Project Management Fundamentals or the Project Management Essentials class. The 1-day Fundamentals class, again, does give you a broad overview of project management and does expose you to all of the concepts and processes, but at a very high level. Project Management Essential does the same thing, only it goes into a little deeper understanding. We have 3 days in which we can talk about and experience projects and project management, whereby the fundamentals is only 1 day. Looking at the PMI growth rate, this ended in 2012, that was last year. You can see that the need for project management professionals, even at a introductory level, is growing. Some of the last year, 2012, we had 18,600 people that were CAPM certified, and the last I've heard from this year, we're getting close to the 20,000 mark if we haven't already exceeded it. You will see that PMI, the need for certified people is growing, and at this point, some of the readings I've done indicates that they don't see an end for the need from people who are certified. We have quite a turnover in these certification ratings. People retire, people decide no longer to keep their certifications for whatever reason, and the need continues to grow, and it is a marketplace where many people are finding very lucrative positions in both CAPM and PMP. The testing for CAPM, people who are taking the certification test will have a jumped ahead there, sorry about that. We take a 150 question test. 15 of the questions are unscored. They are called dummy questions, and they're there for PMI to have a place to test new questions as they come out. And these questions, again, are not scored, but they do count in your project, in the testing. You're actually scored for 135 questions, and you have 3 hours to take the test. Now, if you do the math, 3 hours, 150 questions, that's 72 seconds a question. These are intensive questions that you really must know the material and must know how to understand these questions for you to be able to pass it. For the PMP certification, you need to have either a high school diploma or global equivalent, or you must have a minimum of the last 5 years, you must show that you have at least 7,500 hours spent leading and directing projects. And of course, you have to have the 35 contact hours of formal education. Again, our class, the class that I teach and others of us teach here at New Horizons, does fulfill those 35 contact hours. In fact, in both the CAPM and the PMP class, once the class is over and you're finished attending it, you will be sent a nice certificate indicating that you have successfully completed your specified number of hours, either 23 with CAPM or 35 with the PMP, and you will use a copy of that, to certify these requirements, or this requirement, with PMI. The other avenue that you have under PMP certification is if you have a bachelor's degree or greater, you have to show 4,500 hours. So 4,500 hours and the 3,500 contact hours. PMI requires that you have this experience for some very specific reasons. First, as a real-world example of why this is necessary, back in the mid-'80s, there was a shortage of IT people, and so there was a lot of people who were unemployed, and there was a shortage of IT people. So what the federal government decided to do is they would provide training programs to assist people to get their MCSE certification, which is a computer networking certification, and it was highly sought after. So, and at that point in time, I was unemployed, so I went down to the unemployment office to sign up for this program, and I was told that because I had IT experience, I was not qualified to take this training. This training was for people who had no IT experience, and this was to help them get into a job in IT. Well, okay. When these people started coming out into the job market with their MCSE certification, guess what happened? Well, they didn't have any experience. They didn't know. They had the training, they had the knowledge, they had the certificate, but they didn't have the experience to be able to use that material. And as such, companies were very unhappy with hiring these people. And the term paper MCSE was being floated around, which meant these were people that had the certificate but didn't have the background to be able to use that information to be able to be of help or value to the company. To keep that from happening with the PMI certifications, you have to be able to prove that you have this experience. As part of our application process to get into the PMP certification process, you have to document either the 7,500 hours or the 4,500 hours, depending on whether you have a bachelor's degree or not. And you have to be able to prove that you have it. In fact, when I went in, I had 15 years of project management experience. I documented all the work that I had done in the last 3 to 4 years, and I was audited. Part of the PMI certification process is an audit process. 5% of all project management applicants, no matter what certification they are going for, are audited. You're randomly selected. It's not that they don't trust your numbers. It's not that they think you've done something wrong or you're lying to them. It's just part of their quality control system to ensure that the people they're turning out are quality, experienced, knowledgeable project managers that will use these best practices to the best advantage. And that's what all this is about. The Project Management Professional Test examination is 200 questions, 25 of which they all look the same. You need to answer all of them so that you can get a pass on the test. The test is scored on 175 questions, and again, it is not a percentage test. You don't get a 75%. They don't tell you that how much you need to have to pass. You either pass it or you fail it. And in the time you have allotted, you have 4 hours to take this test. And again, those 4 hours are based on 72 seconds per question. Now, of people applying and getting their certification, as of 2011, we were at 400, and PMP certification was not even allowed outside of the United States. After that, it really picked up, and you can see we have steady growth throughout the last 10, 12 years. 520,000 PMPs around the world, and the used to grow. Now, we have talked about how fast change is coming, how fast it has come, how fast it is coming, and how much it has changed over the last few years. And I think it is very safe to say, and that we can all agree, that change is going to continue to come at an even faster and faster rate. It is a situation where, and computers, well, and as such, our projects that we're doing have become more complex. There's more moving parts. There's more government requirements. The cost of failure is very high, and it's growing. The number of companies that fail each year because of large failures in their projects is astounding. We have just seen an experience here in the United States, an example of a failed IT project, and that is with the Obamacare. I mean, the idea of being able to use computers, use technology to collect information over a large audience is very good. That's what computers were designed for. And for whatever the reason was, and I'm not looking to add any comment to it, just using it as an example, we can see that without good oversight, without knowledgeable people managing projects, asking the right questions, making the right things happen, no matter how good or how bad something that needs to be done is, it can fail and fail in a dramatic and traumatic fashion very quickly.
Aubrey?
Can be very high. Yes, ma'am.
John Zeller has a question. What is
Go right ahead.
What is the expiration period for Project Plus in CAPM?
Project Plus does not have an expiration. Once you get it, you have it, and it just continues. As again, it is a certification in which you get a good foundation and a certification that indicates that the foundational level has been met. With CAPM is a 5-year period. You are certified as a CAPM for 5 years, and at the end of that 5th year, you have to retake the test. Go through the application process again, and go through the certification the classes again, and get recertified through the test. The PMP, once you have achieved your PMP certification, you are certified for 360 professional development units of training to maintain that certification. If you get your 60 PDUs within the 3 years, you are automatically recertified. And you can continue to stay certified as long as you provide the 60 hours, or you obtain those 60 hours. If you do not get 60 hours within those 3 years, you're put on a 1-year suspension. You are not considered a PMP certified individual during that year until you satisfy the 60 hours, and then you go back as being you get recertified and move forward. If you do not fulfill your 60 hours within the 1-year probationary time, you lose your certification, and to get it back, you have to go through the whole process again. So, John, I hope that answered your question. If not, I'll be more than glad to elaborate further. Thank you for the question. Are there any others? Ms. Sheila, is there any other questions?
Yes, there are. What are the costs for the PMP training, the PMP certification, and the 60-hour recertification requirement?
The testing cost for the project management professional is $405 for a member and $555 for a non-member. And when I say a member, that's a member of PMI. You do not have to be a certified professional or someone trying to obtain certification to be a member of the Project Management Institute. It is not a requirement. And as a member, you get to have quite a few perks. You get to download electronic versions of the PMI has put together. You get discounts on different books. You get access to free training. The project management professional, it's $555 for the testing costs. As far as the 60 project management development units, the cost there, that is not something that necessarily is through PMI. There are a lot of other organizations that provide professional development units. You can get PDUs for doing volunteer work on projects or through PMI for some a PDU. PDU is if you attend a class. Because I took that class, the hours that I was in the class went toward helping me get my PDUs. There are a lot of places out on the web where you can get free PDUs, webinars, where you can go out, listen to a webinar, and be able to claim that as a PDU through PMI, and that works quite well. So there's ways of going to different PMI seminars where they are providing training that will provide you with PDUs as well. So there's all different avenues for being able to attain that work. You also can get it, get PDUs for going to a PMI chapter meeting and a chapter closing, or working on projects and such as that. I hope that answered his question.
Thank you. And that is also asking, is the 35 hours preparation training at New Horizons free? Annette, we would be happy to send you the catalog if you would like to review the courses and the dates that we offer, as well as the pricing.
Okay. Any other questions? Ms. Sheila?
Anyone else have any questions?
Well, getting back to my summary then, the demand for qualified and highly trained individuals is going up. We are seeing more and more projects being done in more places in the world as what used to be known as third world countries start to develop. The demand for people over in those areas is dragging away from here in the United States. We also saw and are seeing that customers more and more are demanding that they get certified people to do their projects. And New Horizons, of course, would be glad to help you with any of your training needs. So, well, if there's no more questions,
we do have.
Go ahead, Ms.
Sorry, we do have one question in the queue. How much does the 3-day assistant class cost? Like we mentioned to Annette, I would be happy to send you the catalog with the dates and costs out to everyone if that's something you're interested in, so you have it.
Now, the part of the question I can answer there, the CAPM class, there is a cost for the certification test that is not included, as well as the PMP test is not included in our courses that we teach. And PMI does publish the cost of those certification tests. And the cost I quoted the gentleman earlier, the questioner earlier, was for the PMP test. The CAPM test, I believe, is $355 for non-members and $225 for members of PMI. All that testing is handled through Prometrics, and it is handled in a isolation type testing center, and you are not allowed to bring anything in. They will provide you with pencil and paper and set you down at a computer and monitor you as you take the test. So I hope that answers the question we had there.
We have a question from Jason. He may have missed it, but do college courses, master degree level, count toward contact hours?
They can, yes. The forms of education will provide contact hours. Please remember that the classes that we are providing are specially directed and created around providing our students with the knowledge and understanding of what they need to study to be able to pass the test. When my son was 17 years old, we sent him on a missionary trip to Guatemala with our church. And it was a 6-week trip, a language school for 2 weeks. And it was what is known as put with professional families that, yes, did speak English, but their whole purpose was for them to learn Spanish. So the families were told, don't speak English, speak only only Spanish. So they had to learn. Now, how does that? The CAPM and PMP class of PMI, Project Management Institute, and the PMI Best Practices PMBOK Guide, Project Management Book of Knowledge. Other classes will provide you with project management background, project management experience in a generalized way. And when I teach these classes, I tell my especially in the PMT, where generally I have experienced project managers in there.
Yep.
And I tell them, one of the first things I tell them is that no matter how much experience you have, it will not help you pass the PMP test, because what you're doing is you need to learn how PMI wants you to answer the questions. They want you to answer the questions based on their best practices, and that is how you learn to apply the PMI best practices. So if it's a question between going to a CAPTIA class or a master's level program on project management, I would say that yes, those contact hours would apply, but I don't know how well they would provide you with an understanding of the best practices in the PMBOK guide or the test that you're going to have to take to show your competency in it. Okay, hope that answered your question.
Right.
Natasha has a question. Is the Project Management Fundamentals one-day class available online, and what is the cost?
Well, it is available online. I do teach that as we do teach that as an online live program. And as to the class, you will need to get with your nearest center and have them talk with your account executive for them to provide you with that information. I don't know that information. Any other questions?
The first book was 258 pages with everything. It came out.
Are the questions for the PMP test harder than those for the CAPM?
The questions, again, these are multiple choice tests, and the questions are different for CAPM than from PMP, because with CAPM you only need to know the terminology and the processes. For PMP, you need to know the terminology, the processes, the techniques, and how to apply them. And it's the how to apply them that adds some of the greatest complexity to the PMP test, because again, it's not how you as a project manager from your experience would apply this, it's how PMI thinks you should be applying it. So you have to, it's like that immersion school I talked about. You have to change the way you're thinking. Well, this is the way my company says that I do it, this is the way I do it. No, that's not how to answer these questions. How would PMI, what is their philosophy, and how would they have me answer them? Okay? Again, I hope that answers your question. If not, please say so, and I'll be more than glad to answer it again in another way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aubrey. Anyone else have any questions?
Those are some very good questions. I really appreciate them.
Stephanie, you had a question? Go ahead. Stephanie, are you able to hear? It looks like Stephanie. Okay, she's typing a question.
Okay.
She has taken the PMP class and also the CAPM exam. Are you saying the subject matter is different?
No, it's all based off of the PMBOK guide. CAPM is almost solely off the PMBOK guide. The latest version of the PMBOK guide, which is the 5th edition, PMI, or the PMBOK guide, is the basis of the best practices. It is the best practices. The difference between the CAPM test and the PMP test is PMI will tell you that with PMP, if you only study the PMBOK guide, you will not pass the test.
Okay.
you have to have additional outside resources to help you understand the material.
Yep.
To help with that, we in the Pittsburgh office, we provide all of our students with both a copy of the latest version of the PMBOK Guide, which is the 5th edition, and a Crosswinds study manual, which contains additional information plus a lot of study questions and other ways of studying for the test. We also recommend that people go out and do research on their own. The PMI also recommends that you read the 6 practice standards that they have developed. Now, the PMBOK Guide is right at 600 pages. The Crosswinds manual is right at, it's a little over 630 pages. And the practice standards, the 6 of them, the shortest one is 90 pages and the longest one is a little over 160 pages. So, and even at that, they say you need other outside material, which they don't necessarily qualify. So, to be able to pass the PMP, having your CAPM will help you tremendously, yes. Do you still need to go take the 35 hours? Yes, that's a requirement. Will the material that you've covered in CAPM help you? It will. It'll be a good refresher, and it will put you head and shoulders above anybody else in the class, typically. But would just the CAPM information allow you to pass the PMP? No, it will not. It is all based off of the PMBOK Guide, but with PMP, it is it's a much larger library of information they're pulling from.
Thank you, Aubrey. Another question from Annette. What is the guide you are referring to? Can you spell out the name?
The study guide? It's from a company called Crosswinds PM, and the Crosswinds Learning PMP Exam Success Series Boot Camp Manual 5th edition.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it is. Take a cover.
Any other questions?
Now, since we're talking about the manual, there are a lot of good manuals. Mulcahy, who was very well known in project management circles and in training circles. Ms. Mulcahy is no longer with us, but her company continues. Very expensive, but for the cost benefits ratio, the Crosswinds book that we totally put out is about the best you're going to find for the cost.
Right.
Okay, any other questions? You guys have been a great audience. You had some very good questions. I really appreciate that.
And for those of you that would like the catalog requested, I will send it out so you have a copy. That will list the upcoming dates and prices for courses that we offer.
And if you do sign up, I hope to see some of you in my classes. That would be quite an honor for me.
Amy, you had a question? Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question. I would like to ask the audience, did I provide the information that you were looking for? Is this what you were expecting?
So what is it actually? So 883.60. Well, don't forget it's a rush order. And it had to be broken into 4 books. And I did ask them if that
Marilyn says yes.
that detail, but there was one particular class where she said what I want you to do is put it in the binder and use tab dividers. But that was one of the other things.
Yes, Marilyn. I will send off a copy of that catalog. Have a great day.